While I adjust this mic, your food, your drinks. There are seats here up at the front, so you do not have to stand the entire time. And you also do not have to be shy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and celebrating with us. We are kicking off our year-long celebration in honor of Baltimore Corps' history, its impact, and its continued growth. And thank you so much for being a part of us in that journey and for being with us as we kick off the 10 years that this organization has been making history in Baltimore City. I promise you the program is not long. We want to ensure that you eat well, that you laugh, that you drink well, and have time to fellowship with each other. But we also want to make sure that we give space and time in this kickoff to really hear from some trailblazing originals who really seeded this work in Baltimore City and really developed the foundation for which it stands on for its next 10 years. I will be your MC this evening, but by day, I am the executive director of Baltimore Corps, Tamara Arnold, and it's so lovely to see so many faces in the room from champions past and present, employees past and present. I always feel like opportunities like this are really kind of reunion style, where we get to reconnect with each other, look pretty spiffy, because everyone looks pretty good in here tonight, and really just enjoy each other's company. It has also been a wonderful experience to be with this organization for the last 6.5 years, to see its growth when I came in at year 5, and to really just be in the space and in the company with so many individuals that I worked with from the very beginning to the wonderful individuals that I work with now who are continuing the work forward. Taking it a little bit back to the beginning, I'm going to introduce your first speaker of the evening, Matt Gallagher. Matt Gallagher is Baltimore Corps' board chair, and at one point in time, he had something in common with our founder. He was the chief of staff for then Governor Martin O'Malley. I would say in the history that I've been able to work with Matt, which has only been for about 8 months, he has not only supported and stewarded my growth at this level in the organization, but I really understand his love and his care, not just for Maryland, but particularly Baltimore City, and the ways in which he's showing up not just for Baltimore Corps, but for other organizations in the city that are doing really, really good things. But tonight, his purpose is to gush on the work of Baltimore Corps and to really ground us in our beginning. So with that, I welcome to the stage Matt Gallagher.
Thank you, Tam. That was a very kind introduction. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here and welcome. It's fantastic to see so many old friends and new friends and to be together to celebrate this really incredible and impressive milestone. You know, if I blink my eyes once, I'm back in Wes and Dawn Moore's house a decade ago with Walter Isaacson, talking with a handful of very, very smart, hardworking, committed people about the idea of launching Baltimore Corps. And if I blink my eyes twice, 5 years ago, I'm at a masquerade ball, kind of standing in exactly, the same posture at a podium at Lake Mason celebrating the 5-year anniversary of Baltimore Corps. And now I blink my eye 3 times and here we are celebrating 10 years of Baltimore Corps. And everybody in this room should be proud of themselves, proud of what's been accomplished, proud of what they've contributed, and I hope very, very excited about what lies ahead for the future. So you should all give yourself a round of applause because it's no small feat. It's important to recognize and celebrate milestones. There are not a lot of startups that make it this far. There are not a lot of startups that literally accumulate the types of impacts that Baltimore Corps has over the last decade. You think about the hundreds of people who've worked at Baltimore Corps. You think about the thousands of people that we have touched through the programs that we've operated. And you think about the hundreds of thousands of people whose lives that we've been able to influence through things like contact tracing during COVID and all of the various programs that we offer. In a very, very, very short period of time, we've become a national model for service. We've become a national model for cohort-based education and learning and training. And that's a tremendous set of accomplishments that we should all be really, really excited about and very proud to have been a part of. Now, these are moments to mark, these are moments to celebrate, but these are also moments to reflect, okay? And as board chair, I would be remiss without reminding everybody that we're not a startup anymore. And now we really have to prove our staying power, and we have to prove that it wasn't, a flash in a pan, it wasn't a fluke, it wasn't anything like that. The expectations are high. They get higher every single year, and it is our job not just to meet but exceed expectations all the time, because people rely on us now, and we have to deliver, and I know that we will, okay? So as the board chair, I'm extremely proud to have worked with all of you, to know all of you. I am grateful for your support and your commitment to Baltimore Corps, and I'm extraordinarily proud to invite up to the podium the founder of Baltimore Corps, my friend, the person who let me, climb aboard his rocket ship and ride with him, the great and incomparable Fagin Harris. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening. I think we could be a little more spirited. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Happy 10th anniversary, Baltimore Corps. It's so good to be with all of you. Tamara's right, this is a family reunion. I look around the room and I see so many old friends who are like a family. And so it's really powerful and poignant to be here with all of you this evening, and I appreciate every single person in this room. Thank you for being here. Matt, when I blink once, I think back to Wes and Dawn's house and seeing you, and I was in total freak out, meltdown mode. And Matt was like, "You're gonna do fine. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay." And then when I blinked twice, at the 5th year, I remember talking to you about taking on the board chair assignment. And I did not know then or appreciate what you had agreed to take on. To say that this has been a labor of love is a massive understatement. Matt has been leading the board and leading the governance of this organization and our movement for the better part of half a decade through a 501c3 transition, through a founder transition, which I think everyone here can attest is very, very hard and very, very difficult. He's not paid. It's an enormous amount of hours. There's an expectation that he's kind of on call for all the issues that spring up in our organization. He's never not once answered the phone or answered the call to help our work, to support us through difficult times, to be a thought partner, a troubleshooter, sometimes just scrub in and almost be de facto staff and to help carry the water and carry the load. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, Matt, for all of your leadership and all that you've done for Baltimore Corps. This has been a really, 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 really tough and long assignment, and one that I believe is really worthwhile and at high cost to you personally. So I want to just thank you, and I want to thank the entire board of directors at Baltimore Corps. Please join me in thanking them. When I go back to the beginning, when it was my friend Wes and I kind of starting out in this journey, we had a few aspirations for Baltimore Corps. Number one, no one had ever done place-based talent service models in the country. That had not been kind of broken through or done yet. Number two, no one had put the community in the driver's seat of that. Working from the premise that the people closest to the problem are closest to the solution, and that we have unbelievable leadership, genius, and innovation in our communities just waiting to be uplifted, waiting to be supported, waiting to be invested in. And then number three, Baltimore was and is a place where we can't afford not to take chances to solve big problems. We've got issues, and I believe they can be defeated. I believe that we can overcome them. I believe that we can do so much good work, but it requires us to be risk-taking. It requires us to pioneer new strategies, to take chances, to work together, to bridge lines of difference, to make our community all that it can and should be. A long time ago, we said that Baltimore can be the best place in the world to change the world. And I'll tell you, every single day for the last 10 years, I think we have seen that has been only more and more true as we have stepped up and done things as a community that I think a lot of people might have counted us out on. I go back to kind of the COVID-19 pandemic, and as scary and as difficult as that was, we're a city that's accustomed to almost always being kind of on the wrong end of the conversation because we're a city with a lot of challenges, and yet we overperformed in that moment. And we overperformed in large part because of the connectivity and the relationships of not just Baltimore Corps, but of Thread and of so many community organizations across the city coming together, our faith leaders, our churches, our neighborhood associations, our grandmas, our aunties, our uncles, our cousins, our brothers, our sisters, all of them raising their hands saying, yeah, we love this place too much to give up on it. We love this place too much to see it suffer. We're gonna do what we need to do. And I'm so proud of the backbone that this organization has been through all of that. And I think all of you should be so proud of the work that you've done to show that we can do it differently and we can make a huge difference. When I took on the role of CEO when we first got going, Joe Jones called me, CEO of Center for Urban Families. He was like, I want to take you to lunch. I was like, okay, Joe Jones called me, that's pretty cool. And so I go meet Joe. And he said something that I would never forget. He said, there's only one Black-led nonprofit in the city of Baltimore with the budget over $1 million. And that's us. And I hope you guys will follow and do that. And we worked really hard, and after a few years we got there. When I look at the legacy of the Elevation Awards, we got like dozens of y'all out here now. Dozens. And we aren't alone in that, but we played a big part in that, in changing what it means to lead sizable institutions that command real resources, to be an anchor in our community, to be a new anchor that is of, for, and by the community. That is something that this room has helped forge the ground on, and that's so important. When I think back 10 years ago, I think back to, maybe 4 or 5 mayors now at this point. You had a city government that is so vitally important and yet so chronically understaffed. And I think about the unbelievable talent pipelines that this room has unleashed, the hundreds of people that have gone into public service, working full-time for our city government. Many of them have gone on to run for office and win. Many of them are serving now. Many of them are going to be chief of staffs of agencies. They've risen to the very highest levels of our city government. They look like the city, they love the city, they live in the city, they believe in the city. We should be proud of that. I think about platforms like Kiva. I think about platforms like Artist Navigator. I think about Hope Baltimore and the incredible work that my friend Antoine Quarles has been leading since he's come home. I could go on and on and on. But the whole point of Baltimore Corps is we take the swing and we take the chance. And we do it with the community. And sometimes we stumble and sometimes we fall, and then we gotta pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and get back on the horse and keep doing what we're expected to do. Matt's right, the expectations are high and they need to be. And so I know transitions are hard, y'all. This has been one of the hardest years of my life. Partly because of this transition, partly because of this crazy job, partly because the world's like on fire. But we're all we've got, and it's more than enough. And so I hope that this room can kind of take stock of the journey and where we've been and who we are and what we're about, and that we're needed, and that we matter, and that we have contributions still to make, and that when we come out here, I see a lot of young brothers and sisters who've got ideas and vision, and they're launching the next big thing. I ran into Brandon on the way in. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, man. I see you. There's so many leaders like Brandon, and he's counting on us and our partnership to be there for him so he can build his movement. That's what it's about. That's how we're going to get to where we're going. Last 2 days have been my service days. I was in Little Rock yesterday with the 30th anniversary of AmeriCorps. That was really cool and really powerful. And then this morning, I was with the governor announcing the new Maryland Service Corps at their kind of launch event. And I was thinking on the drive up here, I was like, wow, so yesterday at the 30th anniversary of AmeriCorps, which is like our national federal agency for service, and then again this morning at the Maryland Corps launch, Baltimore and Baltimore Corps was on everyone's lips, because that's the bridge. That's the bridge between those two models. And when I see how far the national agencies come, in large part because of the example that you all have led in this room, I should be unbelievably proud. When I see what we're doing at the state and how that's helping to scale what has been built and pioneered here, I should be unbelievably proud. And you should also know that your work is not done, that those rooms are still looking at you, yes, all of you, each and every single one of you, of where it goes from here. What's the next new thing? What's the important barrier to break down? What's the new model or program innovation that we need to get going on? Someone said it to me yesterday. They said, we just admire the intentionality that Baltimore Corps runs with. It's just incredible. I mean, we've seen a service movement revolutionize in the span of 10 years from what it was to what it is now, far more equitable, far more intentional, far more innovative, far more flexible, far more responsive to community. That's you guys. That's your leadership. That's your legacy. And so I just hope at this 10-year point, and I know it comes at a point of transition, that there is both pride and responsibility of how far we've come, who we are, and yes, how far we still have to go, and that we've got to get there together. As we look ahead, I am so freaking excited about our next leader and CEO. I have known Caryn York for many, 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 many years, and she is one of the most dynamic, charismatic, powerful, smart, incisive, kind, and wise leaders I've ever met, and I've had the privilege to work with. Caryn and I are old friends. Probably about once a year we'd get together, we'd make dinner, we'd chop it up, and we would talk. And I've been struck by a few things. That number one, Caryn has an unbelievable talent for building stakeholdership in a cause. She's done unbelievable work for returning citizens. She's done unbelievable work for people struggling to attach to work, for our communities, for the folks who are most vulnerable in our society. And she is so good at getting people to care about those that we often overlook or ignore or miss altogether. Unbelievably good at getting people to see people who otherwise go unseen. As a leader, she's a total badass. Like, that's a technical term, it's on her resume. It's the first thing. Caryn York, badass. She's tough, she's decisive, she's super smart, and she's gonna do so much good in this role. She's a daughter of Baltimore. She's someone who ran JOTF, which is another one of our fantastic anchor institutions here in the city. Went up to New York and did amazing work with the Women's Prisons Association, where she was a national leader and brings all of that wisdom back. I think that's really important because Baltimore Corps is intensely local and yet is a nationally important organization. In so many ways, you all set the standard. I'm gonna keep coming back to that. In so many ways, you all set the standard. And communities across this country look to you all for direction of how to do the work the right way. And so I just cannot be more proud or more grateful that we have in Caryn someone who is both deeply rooted here in Baltimore, but also brings that national perspective to the work, who's ready to live up to the incredible expectations that all of you in this room have set. So please join me in welcoming Caryn York, the CEO of Baltimore Corps, to the stage.
All right, just lay that pressure on thick, y'all. Just lay the pressure on thick. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you all for taking time out on this beautiful Friday to join us in celebrating a decade's worth of amazing work at Baltimore Corps. Give it up. Few housekeeping things that I want to get out the way before I jump into my remarks. I want to take a moment to give some special shout outs. First shout out goes to Miss Danielle. Danielle is our Director of Development, and she has really stepped in and taken this under her wing. Amidst all the other things that she has to navigate, including all of my many questions and demands, she has been able to pull off an amazing, what I hope you believe, is an amazing kickoff event for our 10-year anniversary campaign of bringing together our team members, our friends, close friends, supporters, to be able to celebrate what has been an amazing 10 years and what will be an even more amazing 10 years. Danielle, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. The Baltimore Corps staff, my team, my new team. Y'all, I know this year has been challenging for you all. As Fagan mentioned, transitions are extremely difficult, but you've stood strong, you've kept your nose to the ground, and you've welcomed me with open arms in ways that I've just been so humbled and honored to receive. I'm forever grateful, and I cannot wait to take this ride with you all. Thank you so much to the Baltimore Corps team. Matthew Gallagher, board president, my boss. My boss and colleague, yes. I am humbly honored that out of the selection of candidates, I was chosen to lead this organization. I know it's near and dear to your heart. I know it's near and dear to the hearts of our board members. It's gonna be a ride, it's gonna be a fun ride, and I really look forward to taking that ride with you and the rest of the board. Thank you for trusting me. Fagan, my dear Fagan. Fagan and I have been co-conspirators and great friends, as he mentioned, for a long time. Fagan has served as my confidant, my counsel, fellow commiserator, and so much more. He is absolutely right. It's so crazy that you brought up your conversation with Joe Jones, because I think about this often, that there was a time when Fagan and I were both CEOs, and we were the only two CEOs, Black CEOs, under the age of 40 in the city of Baltimore leading nonprofit organizations that were over $1 million. So I got that same call from Joe too, Papa Joe Jones, right? The only two. That's hard work. It can be rewarding, but having someone like Fagan by my side to walk that journey with me while I was at JOTF, I don't even have the proper adjective to justify it. It meant so much to me, and it means so much to me to know that you thought enough of me to step into your enormous shoes and carry on the legacy that you have led at Baltimore Corps. I am honored, I am humbled, I love you, bro, and I cannot wait to continue this work with you. When you said that we had dinners, he cooked, I ate. That's all it ever was. I appreciate you always welcoming me into your home, letting me eat your food, letting me vent and all of the things, and being able to just have a safe space. Really, really appreciate you. Thank you. So when I was at JOTF, Job Opportunities Task Force, we looked up to Baltimore Corps and we looked up to Fagan. This was an organization that was, yes, in the space of workforce, but was doing a different type of workforce than we were doing at JOTF. And we were always eager to learn from Baltimore Corps and figure out what are the different creative, innovative ways that we can step outside of the traditional spaces of workforce development that we were navigating and really think thoughtfully and intentionally about how to ensure that those communities who are less likely to be able to access economic mobility, security, and stability are able to do it both in a way that makes sense for them, but also gives them access to that thing called power in the communities in which they live. I vividly remember meeting with Fagan and his team members, particularly Caryn and others, thinking about how we can partner, thinking about how JOTF could hire fellows, thinking about how we can think differently, programmatically. I vividly remember these times, and so it is full circle, total full circle, to stand up here as the president and CEO of an organization after a leader that I have watched and have just admired for so, so long. I keep saying that I'm humbly honored. I truly, truly am. This really, really is full circle. The work of the co-founders of now Governor Moore, Chief of Staff Fagan Harris, set into motion a decade's worth of initiatives to advance talent development opportunities in Baltimore City, particularly for those individuals and communities who were less likely to be able to access them on their own. Baltimore Corps strengthens the fabric of Baltimore by building those bridges between organizations, individuals, opportunities, and resources. And we do this by empowering those in community who seek out the support to activate meaningful, systematic change. The change in leadership from Fagan to myself, I believe, is an opportunity to reset and to really look at how we can better address the current needs of those who are most impacted. Who are impacted? Job seekers, workers, businesses, government. What are the needs of today and the future for which Baltimore Corps can now step in and step up? Throughout our 10-year anniversary campaign, that's exactly what we will be doing, celebrating a decades-long of all of the great work and doing exactly that, and also looking at what are the ways in which we can formalize our relationships in the city of Baltimore and advancing this racial equity agenda that is so near and dear to our hearts to ensure that we are elevating and centering persons of color who are less likely to be able to activate and access positions of power and really be able to influence what's happening in their communities in real ways. How can we formalize and increase opportunities to move forward with strength with our anchor institutions and with those powerful entities that are looking for partners who can help them move forward and who can help them better connect with individuals and organizations and all the things that will allow them to be able to give back in all the ways that they say, but they might not be there yet. How do we ensure that something like the city of Baltimore being the employer of choice, how can we make that a reality? I see Baltimore Corps playing the role, being at the center of the Venn diagram for all of those opportunities. I strongly believe that there is a yearning, a need for Baltimore Corps to step up and step out. Folks are eager to see what else we can accomplish. Folks are eager to see what else we can do in terms of partnerships. Folks are eager to see what we can do in the space of public policy. As we are advancing programs and initiatives, how do we ensure that we're coupling that with the public policies that will enforce and strengthen that so that it's actualized in ways that won't just change when a leader of a program or an organization shifts? How do we ensure that as we think about strengthening what's happening in Baltimore, that we're being strategically intentional about transplanting this model elsewhere into spaces that are eager to learn more about what Baltimore City is doing? And I think that's an important thing that we need to make sure that we are highlighting and centering and celebrating. When I was in New York, one of the reasons why I went to New York was I thought that I wanted to go to a big pond and do something different. I wanted to be outside of Baltimore and experience all new things and then possibly bring it back. Y'all, I get in New York and everybody's talking about Baltimore. Literally, I'm meeting with partners and they're telling me how the weekend before they were just in Baltimore and they were talking to this group, or, this new initiative was popping up, or these new groups were having some symposium and they were bringing folks from around the country to Baltimore to ideate and co-create new ideas that would be national models. So here I am, I've left my hometown thinking that that's where I can be able to go to find the innovation and the exceptional ideas and the like, and it's right here. The Renaissance is right here in Baltimore City. Right here, yes. It is important to recognize that. Fagan is absolutely right. This organization really has an opportunity to connect the dots in ways that I don't even think we have been able to imagine yet. And I am so honored to be able to brainstorm, to be able to activate, to be able to lead and partner with so many cool, smart people, both in this room, but in the city and in the state, and how we can elevate the work that we're doing locally and nationally. I've only been here for, it's about 50 some days. How long has it been? Child, I can't keep up. But what I do know is who I've spoken to. Almost everyone is eager to know, what else? What else? What's the next step? Almost everyone who I've spoken to are eager to know, where else are you going? Outside of the state of Maryland, it has been amazing working with our national expansion team to hear how both funders and partners are so eager to do what we're doing here in Baltimore. You don't hear that because usually here in the city, we hear all of the bad things. We hear how it's horrible to live here, no one wants to stay here, you name it, all of the different metrics and stories. But yet, there are folks who are extremely impressed in what you all have been able to accomplish at Baltimore Corps and are eager to support and partner moving forward. And so I'm excited to co-create, I'm excited to ideate, I'm excited to implement, and I'm excited to have fun while doing it. And so as I continue to build out this vision together with you all, I look forward, really look forward to doing it big, doing it well, and being very honest, unapologetically, about how we ensure that we're elevating communities in a way that allows them to access the power they need to really transition our communities, our cities, and even our state in a way where we're truly shifting the material conditions of those who are most vulnerable and struggling. Thank you all for taking the time. Thank you all for believing in me. Thank you for believing in our team. Thank you, team, for showing up every day and doing a kick-ass job. I appreciate you all, and I cannot wait to continue the work. Thank you all.
So I won't even attempt to follow all of that up from our three speakers of this evening. What I will say is very excited to see what is ahead of us next. And I know that with the support, with the camaraderie, with the connection between each and every single one of us in this room, the best is yet to come. And so with that, look out for the future events that are happening in our year-long campaign to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. Get your outfits ready for the spring gala because it will be top tier and you will need to look absolutely fine. And enjoy the food and the drinks and the conversation with each other. Thank you so much again.